Hello and welcome to the Winners Find the Way show. I am your host, Trent Clark, and I am thrilled to be here as usual. This is the Winners Find a Way show, and I am the CEO of Leadershipity, a serial entrepreneur, also author of Leading Winning Teams, and I am a Bloom Growth Coach. I help companies 2x, 10x the value of their company by helping them build a championship team, right? Leading Winning Teams is the name of the book. And that's what we are always striving for, winning teams. I've got this little halo light here, and today the sun, I'm sitting at the lake. It's a beautiful day in West Michigan, the fall colors. I woke up, it was 38 degrees, really cold. And so it's crazy. And today I want to go through a little rant. And I mean, that's a little rare for me. That's not my typical, right? I'm a very positive guy. I like to be positive. And a couple things very important happened this week. A good friend of mine, Brant Pinvidic, he came in and visited West Michigan last week. That was super awesome to have Brant in town. And we talked about the 3-minute rule and how important it is to engage and be clear. And so I'm finding this challenge in life because this week I lost my wallet traveling. I left my wallet in TSA, never got it back. No one's reported it. So turns out I'm probably not going to have a wallet. So I'm renewing all my cards, and I just got a driver's license this morning. I got a new driver's license so I can travel. And so one of the challenges that has forced me into a lot of customer service situations, a ton of things. And it's remarkable. I don't rely, we all rely on customer service. We all go to restaurants and we get waited on and we get all these things that happen, right? But it was so challenging to me to see the fact that there's a lot of customer service issues right now. And the airlines are a big point that a lot of people have made recently because people are getting delayed and computers are going down for hours. And I went to the Secretary of State or the DMV in a lot of states yesterday, and their computers were down. And it was like, wow, just like that, functionality happens statewide. So there's these issues that happen, and employees are left, of course, hanging. And so it's a pretty challenge. They're left to deal with a raucous crowd that has a scheduled appointment that now pushed back an hour and everything. And the thing about it is it's not the first time. The challenge in this is that we don't have an emergency plan. This happens somewhat regularly, and there's no plan to change our behavior of what do we do. Can we immediately get online, because so many people are booking online now, and allow people to know there is a delay in our systems and you will likely wait? Or do we have a system where we could cancel the next hour off and eliminate them only in the hopes that we get back on in an hour, and then move it hour by hour? I don't know what the answer is to that, but no one appears to be looking for a solution. I was in a coffee shop yesterday and I had ordered my coffee, and it came up like $1.50 more than it says on the menu. And they're like, oh yeah, our prices have changed with the menu, so they don't add up together, and there's nothing I can do about it to change the computer. Sorry. And it was really sorry, not sorry, right? Like the sorry was so disingenuous. Once I got my coffee that I paid over more than $1 than what's said on the menu, I went to go put cream in my coffee. Oh, we're out of cream. I thought, like, and again, sorry, not sorry. Like, it was a very disingenuous, flippant sorry. And I'm feeling poor for a generation that is now being told, like, just say sorry and it makes it all okay, because it doesn't make it all okay. It's a disingenuous. There's no, hey, I'm sorry and I take responsibility. I'm sorry there's no creamer. That was my responsibility today to bring in creamer or make sure we had inventory or whatever. Like, no one's taking responsibility. So they're not really saying sorry for anything. They're just saying, like, flippantly, hey, that's too bad. And they're really not feeling sorry. It's disingenuous. And the fact that no one ever asked for forgiveness behind that sorry. Like, if I were to wrong somebody, it is my responsibility to say, hey, I'm sorry for wronging you, or crossing you or trespassing in your space or doing whatever I did, and I'm wrong for that, and I'm very sorry that I specifically did this. I will take responsibility for that. Hey, will you please forgive me? Because that's not my intent to be trespassing on you or to treat you poorly, and that's not the intent at all. So I found it interesting that people are unwilling to actually take any responsibility. So now we come into our leadership, right? And as we look at organizations, the first things that are probably happening in growth companies is there is going to be increased and excellent communication. Comms are really bad right now out there. I mean, the left doesn't know what the right's doing. There's very little clarity. It keeps coming up. It's one of the big iddies in leadershipity that we're always dealing with. Clarity, clarity, clarity. What are you trying to get? And people are floundering out there. And the minus of clarity in an organization all of a sudden leads to my interpretation, Jane's interpretation, Stefan's interpretation, Guka's interpretation. All of us in all of our organization all of a sudden have our own expectation, our own thought on how this should go. And so how is that going to be effective as we move forward as a team moving in a direction? Because the lack of clarity all of a sudden turns into all of us for individual of our interpretation of what that might mean. And that's going to always be different. And that's not a good or bad thing. It's just different. And so if we're all trying to get in alignment and move in unity, a big itty, we're trying to move in unity towards a goal, then that's not happening because we don't have clarity around it. The other thing I see in this is that people are no longer rewarded for contribution. They're no longer rewarded for execution. And so that used to be the number, and I come from the professional sports background, as all of you know, right? 13 years in the major leagues, coaching the best in the world, and how we're going to do that. And they are measured every single moment on their contribution and production as a player to that team. And it is the constant measurement, and they know it. Like in the moment, everyone was upset over the weekend because the football player on the Arizona Cardinals team was running down the field. He was wide open. He slowed down, and then he released the ball right before the goal line. The guy caught up with him. He knocked the ball out, touchback. They lose the ball, no points, and they end up winning on the flukiest last-minute play that the other team scored a touchdown on. And so it comes back to, if that wouldn't have happened before, then this wouldn't have been such a fluky, massive play. Well, I appreciate that. And so the coach just airing this player out on the sideline, clearly upset. These are professional athletes. The league minimum is $750,000, I think. It's a lot of money to do this job. And they're obviously highly skilled. They're gladiators walking into the arena. I mean, it's violent, right? And so it takes somebody special to do that. And the expectation is that why would you let up for a minute when you're on that field with all the other gladiators? You can't let up because just like in the old arena, like you let up for a second, you're dead, man. Like that's it as a gladiator. Unfortunately, this young man didn't die, but boy, he took a chewing from his coach. And the reality is that, listen, the player knew he messed up as soon as he messed up. Like he doesn't now need a coach to tell him, do you think I messed up? Like he knows that he messed up. It's like the guy dropping the fly ball. Like, I meant to drop a fly ball. And the coach waiting for him on the top of the stairs, ready to chew him out for how he messed up and how that didn't go right. And listen, he knows, but it is a coach's prerogative to let them know that this is not acceptable. It's not acceptable behavior. We're not okay with it. And there's going to be coaches that let you know how much is on the line and what's at stake. And did the coach probably go overboard? Yeah, he probably went overboard. There is a lot on the line, and he lost himself a little bit emotionally, which is another whole topic. But the reality is that was probably pretty well deserved. I mean, he made a mistake. This is his job. It's a very important job. He gets paid extremely a lot of amount of money to do his job at the best of his ability. And in that certain situation, he did not do the job to the best of his ability. Like, he did not contribute in the way a standard professional athlete has to perform out there. And so the coach let him know in his own way. And he wants it to be uncomfortable. He wants it to be visceral and somewhat clearly memorable, because the pain of that error is one thing inside. The pain of being embarrassed, the pain of being embarrassed in front of millions of people, audience, you have 80,000 people in the stands. I mean, there's just embarrassment for embarrassment. He wants that pain to be so visceral that this player, this employee will never make that mistake again, because he doesn't want him off the team. He doesn't want to fire him for that. He wants to teach him. He wants to teach him that it's not okay, and that is well below our standard. And we can't operate as a team like that if all of us aren't doing our job and our role. And so it becomes a deal. And here's the challenge. I mean, the challenge right now is that the lack of clarity. I don't know if these customer service employees are being trained up in knowing the value to their clients and how important it is to them to be communicated to be respected, to feel like they're a part of it. And people can really empathize with an employee who's going through a hard time, because they themselves have gone through a hard time as an employee. So they will understand that if you communicate with them in a genuine way. But when you become disingenuous, whoa, I mean, it really sounds like this doesn't matter to me. This job doesn't matter to me. I'm just here filling space, and I don't really care. And whatever happens, happens. I get paid either way. And that will happen for a short period, at least. That's true. And I think this is what has happened when we get to this feeling of, let's take the path of least resistance. Because the path of least resistance isn't really least resistance at all. The path of least resistance is least resistance right now, which means just delaying a greater resistance later is all they did, right? The path of least resistance is just a path right now of least resistance, because what it will create, probably 9 out of 10 times, is a greater resistance down the road. And I find that, like, this is the challenge. And I have a good client that I just love working with, and he has this quote. He says, listen, I don't accept apologies. If you have time to say you're sorry, you have time to solve the challenge. And I don't know if I fully 100% agree with that philosophy yet. I do understand what he's trying to say, which is that, hey, do something about it. If you're seeing something, I'm empowering you to go get what you need. And I think this is what made Ritz-Carlton so famous years and years ago, and made them one of the highest customer service and loyalty programs in the hoteling industry. Obviously, they have beautiful properties and they have a stake, but they have a training system for all their employees and I recall them having a system of where they could rectify any challenge of a guest. And I believe there was a budget on that. And I want to say the budget was $10,000. Like, if you have a guest and you can remedy their challenge in under $10,000, you have every capacity, ability to make that choice and remedy their situation. Now, at a hotel, listen, 80% of these things are probably under $15. I need some shampoo. Could I get some more towels? My steak wasn't made very well. I need another steak. It wasn't the way I like it. My food was cold delivered on to my door, and room service. Like, there's going to be some challenges there for sure, but most challenges are really just not that much to fix. Now, listen, you wreck somebody's Lamborghini, in the valet. That's another issue. I guess that's over $10,000. We're gonna have to call some management and do some different things. But in the better part of valor, Let's enable people to remedy this situation. The challenge I had at the DMV and their computers, I was no one seemed to look to a remedy. They Everyone points at, well, somewhere in the Capitol where the offices are, somebody should probably be remedying. They hope, and hope is not a strategy. Hopes that someone else is doing it, and the idea that no one had any mode of what would I do to remedy this situation for all these folks. There was not a thought to it, and there was not a thought at the coffee. There was not a thought when I lost my wallet this week at a terminal in a major airport. There wasn't a thought to the TSA of how they might help remedy that situation. It was just, yep, shoulder shrug. Sorry, that's how it goes. And this is the reality of challenges in these teams. When we create good communications and execution, everybody's talking, and then we really get to the fact of like simplification and simplifying our tasks, our goals, and our focus towards those things. And when we're driven to remedy those priorities and those challenges. Now, some of these things are smaller challenges, but customer service is never really a small challenge, right? We have to keep our customers happy. We want loyal customers. Word of mouth is still the number one referral. It's still, and always probably will be, the number one referral to any industry, to any business. What people are saying about you, about your service, about how you treat them is always going to probably be number one. And so there's that. And what we're really trying to do through that process is we're trying to train people up to be thinkers, to be champions, to be a part of a championship team, knowing, hey, what can I do about this? And who are the right people on our team who I know manage this area of responsibility? Who can I call right now that could help me remedy this situation? Who probably has a good answer, who has a level of responsibility inside this challenge, inside our organization, that we really want to be a part of the solution. And by the way, once you get to be a proven person who knows how to remedy and knows how to solve things, organizations don't like to be without those people. You have job security immediately, because when people remedy and solve things, they get more and more responsibility, because the leaders are always looking for teammates like that. As we raise up better team members each and every time through great communications, clarity, and tracking, and helping them and coaching them through that execution and how to be better, it is exponential growth. And the reality is like, if me and Jane and Guka all get better, that's not 3 for 3 equals 3 better. It's exponential. We get like 3 of us all got better. We get like 8 times better. It's crazy. And it's an exponential formula when people increase their capacity and build their team, understanding that not only do I individually have more capacity and better execution and better reliability, but so do all my other teammates, and that's raising all of our game. And here's a famous quote by Nick Saban, which I love, which was, mediocre people don't like high performers, and high performers don't like mediocre performers. And so here's the challenge is if you're coming into an organization that's high performing, you can't be mediocre. They're going to freak out. And if you're a high performer and you go to a mediocre performing organization that always lets the status go, always goes the path of least resistance, you're going to hate it. You are going to absolutely hate it working there. Everyone thinks like, oh my gosh, my job is so demanding. I'm on the best team right now, and you go to the team that's on the bottom third rankings of your industry, and you think, oh, this is going to be so much easier now. They don't really have the high expectations. You're going to hate it. You're going to hate it. The fact that no one cares. No one takes care of their responsibility. Few people are meeting it, and it's going to freak you out. And I think about the pro game, right? When you go into a free agency as a pro athlete, you call your agent and you go, listen, the best team is the Yankees or the Dodgers in professional baseball, and the Phillies, and what are these teams that are producing winners year in and year out? They want to go to those organizations that have a chance to go to the playoffs every year. And they ask their agent, like, hey, what's the odds I could, can you call the Dodgers? Can you call the Yankees? Can you call these teams that are paying a lot? They overpay for talent. And by the way, they have the best talent. So right now I play 162 games for my mediocre team. And if I go to a top tier talent, I may only play 100 games, and I'm going to split time with another talented performer, which means I may get more longevity in the game because I take less taxing to my body. I take less wear and tear. That's not going to be, I'm not still required to be called on, but like we have a lot of great players. And this is a huge thing when you're in like the NFL and the NHL, when you're in a very physical, demanding, violent sport where your body's constantly taking a toll. When you can go to a team and make as the same or nearly the same money and have years of longevity in that contract, like, hey, you can make 3 years of $5 million a year money. Okay, that's $15 million. Or I could make a 5-year deal for $4 million. And then still be good to play after that. Like that's $20 million, $5 million more longevity game, and I've got another contract to extend on them. And that's a big deal. So we got to be strategic about these thoughts. We got to be, how do we add this value and contribute inside our organization? And as we keep raising our players up, and I think that's the call and challenge that I have in some of these organizations that I've had to deal with this week is, how are you going to raise your team members up? I don't think we're doing them any favors by lowering any standards and just accepting mediocrity and accepting that no one is going to take any responsibility. No one is looking to remedy or repair a challenge. And no one seems to understand what the goal is of this organization to deliver high quality value. Because if you don't continue to deliver value to your consumers and to your customers, they're going to go somewhere else. And this isn't long before this business is no longer a business. And so these are the challenges we're facing today. A little bit of rant today from Coach Trent as we talk and go through some of the challenges that are out there. And as an organization, what can you do? What can you do? Well, first of all, you can get very clear on your communications. Meet regularly and have fabulous meetings every week. Don't be afraid to meet every morning as a department and do a departmental huddle so that people know exactly the communications, what's the expectations, what has to be done today, what is priority, and just starting right there with a 10-minute huddle. I literally had 8 people on my team in my department, and I could do a huddle in 10 minutes, a 1-minute opener. Everybody has 1 minute to tell me really quickly what they accomplished yesterday, what are the 3 highest priorities on their task today, and then, one great thing that happened yesterday. And boom, they can all say that in 60 seconds. I could use a little game timer, the little sand thing that I took out of one of my kids' games, and I'd use that, and I'd grab one of those sand timers, and you got 1 minute, and then it's over. And all 8 people got their individual. And if I had to do individual follow-ups or something like that with something somebody said, we could do that after the meeting. That could be one-on-one. But as a group, it gave us clarity on what everybody's working on. And if that crossed over, we could address it very quickly as a team and a department. All of it done under 10 minutes every morning. I mean, that right there is probably the best 10 minutes, because I don't know how many organizations I've watched, and I've watched at my own departments, where 2 people or even 3 sometimes spent 2.5 hours in an afternoon working on the exact same thing because they didn't know the other one was doing it. Like, that is not efficiency. That is not great use of anybody's time. And so let's take that and be smart. Meet weekly as a leadership team and make sure that the big alignment, challenges, your quarterly tasks are actually being addressed, and you've got very important things to do for the next week. The things that are going to move the needle in the next week. What are those things? Put those things down and hold yourselves accountable the next week to those things. Those are going to be so important for you and for your team to see that You care about what is important. You care about the communications within the organization. You care about moving the needle to get better and improve and deliver a high quality product. And that you care. It's going to be a big deal. And those meetings, by the way, when done really well, do not need to be long. They can be highly efficient, and they can be highly regarded as the most important time of your leadership team's week, where you solve all the big challenges for the week. And that eliminates, by the way, how many other meetings during the week? Because if there's a one-on-one I might need with somebody else, I don't need 5 or 8 people, leaders, all in that meeting. That's not necessary. So let's get these meetings right. And that's a great way to start your communication. You're going to build a priority and a focus on what's important. You're going to start executing on all the big things, and you're going to help individuals get better. You're already starting to help them get better by knowing exactly what you expect of them, by communicating that on the daily huddle and a weekly meeting. So start there, and and don't have to be called out on Trent's rant if you're a company. And I didn't do that today. I'm not that guy to call out these organizations publicly, but it is a challenge out there, folks. And hey, it's not easy to lead winning teams. So if you're out there, you're working at it. Hey, kudos to you out there, busting your hump, creating it. All you entrepreneurs out there, thank you for what you do. You create the risk. You took the risk. You're the lifeblood of America, and you employ a ton of people, creating a lot of value. And it's not an easy thing. And if it were easy, everybody would be doing it, right? So it is not an easy thing. Even harder to be successful. I am a member of the Entrepreneurs Organization, and just to put that in perspective, the last stat I saw, which is a little dated, but 3.7% of all businesses in North America make $1 million or more. That is a very rare error. I mean, you're thinking if you're going to be in a company, a top line revenue of $1 million is not that much. But for small business America, we know how hard it is to achieve that, to overcome that threshold and keep moving into a larger organization. So it is a really, really hard thing to do. And it's really, really rare error if you're one of those organizations that is in that category. So don't take it lightly, you entrepreneurs. Hats off to you. Way to go. Super impressed with you as always. And I always appreciate the lifelong learning that you continue to do. So until next time, I hope to see you. This is Winners Find a Way, and winners do find a way. Every Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, on Winners Find a Way show, we speak to the 1%, and sometimes we just give words of wisdom and winning ways. So we'll see you next time. Until then, have a great week.